What is it that makes one person rise above the crowd while another remains lost in the shadows? Why do some individuals seem unstoppable even in the face of setbacks, while others give up after a single failure? Have you ever asked yourself what separates the few who outperform everyone else from the many who settle for average? Listen carefully, because the answers to these questions will not only awaken something within you. The power to be unstoppable is not handed down from the heavens. It is cultivated, forged in the fire of discipline, decision, and an unshakable belief in oneself. It begins with a thought, but not just any thought. A thought so clear, so focused, so determined that it sets your soul on fire. A thought that commands your mind to move in one direction, forward. If you wish to outperform everyone else, you must learn to think in terms of purpose. You must take control of your thoughts, not loosely, not sometimes, but with the precision of a master craftsman, because the mind, when left undirected, becomes the playground of doubt, fear, and mediocrity. Every truly unstoppable person has learned to apply the principle of auto-suggestion. They speak to themselves with intensity, not passively, but with deliberate power. They say, I will succeed. I will outwork, outlearn, and outlast. Not because it sounds nice, but because repetition of belief builds faith, and faith, when burned into the subconscious, turns into action, and action, when consistent, becomes dominance. No one climbs to the top of the mountain by accident. You must decide where you are going. You must see it before it exists. You must speak it before others believe it. You must act on it when nothing around you supports it. That is the mindset of those who become unbreakable. That is the fuel of the few who dominate their fields. There will be times when you are tired, times when you feel alone. But champions are not forged in comfort. They are built when everyone else quits. When others sleep, they work. When others doubt, they affirm. When others retreat, they advance. Motivation may spark the fire, but it is discipline that keeps it alive. If you wish to rise above, you must learn to fall in love with doing what others refuse to do. Read when others watch. Practice when others rest. Think when others entertain. Improve when others excuse. Ask yourself right now, am I feeding my mind with the thoughts of greatness or the leftovers of fear? Am I waking up with a mission, or just passing time hoping success will find me? Do I speak to myself with certainty, or do I silently allow doubt to run the show? Let me tell you something simple but powerful. No one will hand you greatness. No one will come knocking at your door and beg you to be extraordinary. That's your job. That's your responsibility. And the good news is, you already have everything inside you to do it. You have the power to rise, the power to build faith, the power to outwork, outlearn, and outperform. But it all begins with one thing, a decision to no longer settle for anything less than the highest expression of who you are. So I ask you, right now, in this moment, will you step into that power? Will you take control of your mind, your words, your actions, your destiny? Will you be unstoppable? The time for waiting is over. The time for talking is done. The time for greatness is now. Are you ready? Here are 6 powerful points distilled from the speech, each designed to awaken action and elevate performance. Master your thoughts through auto-suggestion. Repetition of powerful, intentional affirmations conditions your subconscious mind. Speak your goals daily with conviction. I will succeed. I will dominate. I will not stop. Your mind becomes what you consistently tell it. Create relentless clarity of purpose. Unstoppable people do not drift. They decide where they are going. They visualize their destination and act like it already exists. Purpose gives power to every step forward. Turn faith into action and action into mastery. Belief is only the beginning. Faith must translate into consistent action. Discipline fuels daily execution, and daily execution creates dominance over time. Fall in love with what others avoid. Greatness demands discomfort. Study while others sleep. Practice when others relax. Commit when others hesitate. What the average resists, the unstoppable embrace. Transform adversity into advantage. Challenges are fuel. Obstacles are opportunities. The unstoppable mindset is not avoiding struggle, it's using struggle to become stronger, smarter, and sharper. Decide to be unreasonable about your standard. Don't wait for permission. Don't live by common expectations. Raise your standards beyond logic. Your new baseline must intimidate mediocrity and demand greatness from yourself. The foundation of becoming unstoppable lies in the control and direction of your thoughts. Every action you take, every habit you form, and every outcome you experience is rooted in the silent dialogue happening in your mind. That inner conversation determines who you become. This is where the power of autosuggestion becomes not just a concept, but a life-altering force. Autosuggestion is the deliberate act of feeding your subconscious mind with clear, positive, and powerful instructions. It's not just about saying affirmations, it's about feeling them, believing them, and repeating them with such intensity and emotion that your inner world starts to align with the world you want to create. Your subconscious mind doesn't filter out truth from lies. It accepts whatever is repeatedly and emotionally impressed upon it. So if you tell yourself over and over again, "I'm not good enough," your mind accepts that as truth. But if you begin saying with unshakable emotion, "I am destined to succeed, I am focused, I am powerful," eventually your subconscious adopts this new identity and your external behavior begins to reflect it. The mind is like a fertile field. Whatever you plant, fear or faith, weakness or strength, doubt or belief will grow. Autosuggestion is how you plant seeds of greatness. Through repeated conscious affirmation, you reprogram years of conditioning, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt. The most successful individuals in the world are not necessarily the most talented or the most connected. They are the most mentally conditioned. They have learned how to command their internal world before trying to conquer the external one. But here's the catch. It doesn't work if you're half-hearted. Autosuggestion requires intensity. It demands repetition. It works best when paired with emotion, the kind that shakes your soul and makes your words feel like a declaration, not just a sentence. You must say it when you don't feel like it. You must say it when your current reality contradicts it. Because that's how transformation begins, not when everything is going well, but when you choose belief in the face of evidence to the contrary. This principle has been used by the greatest leaders, athletes, and visionaries of our time. Before success shows up in the physical world, it first appears in the mind. You cannot outperform the identity you've accepted internally. That's why autosuggestion is so powerful. It gives you the tools to build a new identity from within. An identity that is not limited by your past, your environment, or your circumstance. So begin now. Speak what you want into existence, not once, not twice, but every single day. Speak it when you rise, speak it when you feel tired, speak it when the world doesn't believe in you, and watch how your thoughts shape your belief shapes your behavior, and your behavior shapes your destiny. That is how you become unstoppable, from the inside out. To become truly unstoppable and outperform everyone else, you must create relentless clarity of purpose. This means having a vision so strong, so clear, and so personal that it guides every decision you make, every habit you form, and every challenge you face. Without purpose, you drift. With purpose, you dominate. Most people live reactively. They wake up, check their phone, and let the day control them. Their goals are vague, their direction uncertain. But those who rise above the rest know exactly where they are going. They have already seen their future in their minds. They walk, talk, and act like it already exists, because to them it does. Purpose gives your actions power. It fuels discipline. When you're clear on your purpose, you no longer depend on motivation. Motivation fades. But purpose burns. It tells you why you must push harder, why you must rise early, why you cannot settle. It's not a wish. It's a non-negotiable, a personal contract written in the heart, not on paper. Clarity of purpose turns sacrifice into strategy. When others see you saying no to distractions or comforts, they think you're giving something up, but you're not. You're making space for something greater. You're trading temporary pleasure for lasting achievement. You're refusing to be ordinary, not because it's easy, but because your purpose won't let you settle. You don't need to know every detail of how you'll get there, but you do need to decide where you're going. That decision activates a part of your mind that starts seeking answers, resources, and people to help you. It's as if the world starts responding to the intensity of your intention. But the key is clarity. You can't hit a target you can't see. You can't build a future that's undefined. Your purpose should be deeply personal, not a borrowed dream, not something you're pursuing just because others expect it. It must come from within. It must matter to you. When it does, nothing can stop you. Not criticism, not fear, not failure. Because a person with purpose doesn't crumble, they rise. They use every setback as fuel, every delay as preparation, and every doubt as confirmation that they are on the right path. Ask yourself, what do I want so deeply that I'm willing to fight for it every day? What result is worth every ounce of my energy, my focus, my time? If you can't answer that clearly, you're not ready to outperform everyone else. Because those who do, know. They've chosen their path, they've claimed their future, and they live each day as proof of that decision. When you have relentless clarity of purpose, everything changes. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop fearing opinions. You stop wasting time. You become locked in, dialed in, obsessed, not in an unhealthy way, but in a focused way. The world respects that, and life begins to open up for the one who knows exactly what they want and is unwilling to live beneath that standard. Faith alone will not carry you to the top. It is essential, yes, but only when it is backed by relentless action. That's where true transformation happens. Faith is the spark, but action is the flame that keeps it alive. And when you take bold, disciplined, and repeated action, day after day, you don't just improve, you begin to master. Mastery is what separates those who wish from those who win. Every unstoppable individual has learned this law. Belief is not enough. You can believe in yourself all day long, but if you do nothing with that belief, you stay in the same place. You must move, you must do, you must execute, and not just once or twice. You must show up with purpose and persistence, even when no one is watching, even when the results don't come immediately, even when the results don't come immediately. This is where most people fall off. They wait until they feel confident to act. They wait for signs, for approval, for motivation. But the elite, the ones who outperform everyone else, act through uncertainty. They take steps even when the ground beneath them shakes. They don't need guarantees because their belief is already locked in. They trust that consistent effort leads to compound growth. They know that the person who keeps showing up eventually becomes unstoppable, not because of raw talent, but because of consistency and commitment. Action is the physical proof of faith. You say you believe, show it. Put in the hours, take the hits, learn the skills. Push when it's inconvenient, train when it's boring. You cannot think your way to mastery. You must work your way to it. And you must work through discomfort, resistance, and the temptation to quit. Let's be clear. Action is not about being busy, it's about being intentional. Focused action beats scattered hustle every time. You don't need to do everything. You need to do the right things over and over again. That's how habits are formed. That's how excellence becomes second nature. The same way a sword becomes sharper with every strike on the stone, your mind and body become sharper with every repetition of focused effort. There will be days when your energy is low, days when progress feels invisible, but mastery is not about speed, it's about direction. If you're moving forward even inch by inch, you're gaining ground. You're building momentum, and eventually the results will not just add up, they'll multiply. People will call you lucky, not realizing it was your invisible grind that created visible greatness. Don't let your potential die in the hands of hesitation. Turn your belief into a discipline. Let every action reinforce your identity. Let every day be a declaration that you are not here to participate, you are here to dominate. The person who consistently takes action, aligned with their faith, becomes unstoppable, not because they were born that way, but because they decided to live that way. The difference between the average and the extraordinary lies in their relationship with discomfort. Most people run from it. They seek ease, convenience, and comfort in every decision. But the ones who rise, the ones who outperform and become unstoppable, are those who fall in love with what others avoid. They make discomfort their ally, They choose what's hard not because they enjoy pain, but because they understand that growth never lives in the comfort zone. Excellence requires a deep, almost unreasonable commitment to do what most won't. When others choose rest, you choose to train. When others waste time, you study. When others make excuses, you find a way forward. This is not about punishing yourself. It's about disciplining yourself. You are teaching your mind and body that you will no longer be controlled by temporary feelings. You are taking command of your destiny by making daily deposits of effort, sacrifice, and commitment. Life as you were making the world needs. The people present a few, Robert. Goda. This is why you are not going to have the results without the process. They want the spotlight, but not the sweat. But you cannot have the crown without the cross. You cannot shine without first being sharpened. The champions of life are those who consistently show up and do the work, especially when they don't feel like it. That's what makes them different. That's what makes them unstoppable. You must embrace the grind, embrace the silence, embrace the repetition that others find boring. Greatness is not built in moments of excitement. It is built in the mundane, in the routine, in the discipline of doing the small things right, over and over. When others need motivation, you rely on commitment. When others quit because it's hard, you continue because it's necessary. Your standard is not based on comfort. It's based on who you are becoming. This mindset does not happen overnight. You develop it by consistently choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. You build it by saying no to distractions and yes to your purpose. You strengthen it by pushing one more rep, one more hour, one more decision that moves you closer to mastery. Over time, you begin to crave the challenge, because challenge is the place where growth lives. Discomfort becomes your training ground, and every day becomes an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and sharper than the day before. This is how you separate yourself. This is how you outperform those who rely on talent alone. You become obsessed, not in a chaotic or unhealthy way, but in a focused, purposeful way. You set your eyes on a level of excellence so high that average no longer interests you. You do what others avoid because you understand the reward on the other side is reserved for the few willing to pay the price. So ask yourself, are you willing to do what others won't so you can live how others can't? Will you train when no one sees, improve when no one asks, and commit when no one claps? That is the mindset that builds the unstoppable. That is the decision that separates you from the rest. Every unstoppable person has learned how to turn adversity into advantage. They don't just survive hard times, they grow through them. Where most people see obstacles, they see opportunity. Where others break down, they break through. This ability to convert pain into power is one of the greatest traits of those who outperform everyone else. Adversity is not your enemy. It is your training ground. It is the forge that strengthens your character, sharpens your focus, and deepens your hunger. Without resistance, there is no strength. Just like muscles grow through pressure and tension, your mindset, resilience, and discipline grow when life challenges you. The key is not to avoid adversity, it's to use it. Most people fall into a trap when faced with setbacks. They start asking the wrong questions. Why me? Why is this happening? But those who are unstoppable ask, what is this here to teach me? How can I use this? That shift in perspective changes everything. Suddenly, the pain has purpose. The delay becomes development. The setback becomes set up for a greater comeback. Adversity reveals who you truly are. When everything is going well, it's easy to appear strong, focused, and driven. But when you face loss, rejection, failure, or betrayal, that's when your true character is exposed. And more importantly, that's when it can be rebuilt and made even stronger. Every trial you endure gives you a tool. Every challenge equips you with wisdom, toughness, and experience that no book or course can teach. You have to stop seeing adversity as a wall. It is a door if you choose to walk through it. And when you do, you become someone the world cannot ignore. Adversity gives you stories. It gives you depth. It gives you fire. When you've been through the storm and refuse to quit, you carry a different level of energy. People feel it. They trust it. They are drawn to it. Because you didn't fold, you forged yourself in the fire. The truth is, most people want easy. They want comfort, shortcuts, and instant results. But ease does not build warriors. Easy doesn't build world changers. It's those who face the chaos, embrace the uncertainty, and still move forward who rise to the top. They have learned to expect resistance. They don't whine when it comes, they welcome it, because they understand that every ounce of resistance makes them more prepared for the victory ahead. Think about this. The most valuable people in any field are those who can stay composed under pressure, solve problems when everything is falling apart, and lead when others lose faith. That kind of strength is only developed through adversity. It is earned, not given. So the next time you face hardship, don't curse it, thank it, because it's preparing you. It's shaping you into someone worthy of the vision you carry. It's giving you a story, a strength, and a sharpness that comfort could never provide. Adversity is not your downfall. It's your defining moment. The question is, will you use it? If you want to become unstoppable and outperform everyone else, you must raise your standards beyond what is considered normal, acceptable, or even reasonable. You must decide that average is a threat, not a comfort. This requires you to become unreasonable, not in a reckless or chaotic way, but in a way that demands more from yourself than the world ever will. You must refuse to settle, refuse to slow down, and refuse to play small. Most people live within the limits of other people's expectations. They think, act, and perform according to what society says is enough. But true greatness is never found in the realm of the reasonable. The reasonable settle. The reasonable compromise. The reasonable accept what they're given. But those who rise to the top, those who rewrite history and redefine what's possible, are unreasonable with what they expect from themselves. This doesn't mean being arrogant or delusional. It means having standards so high that they intimidate your excuses. It means holding yourself accountable to a level of effort, discipline, and integrity that most people would call extreme. Why? Because excellence is extreme compared to average. Mastery is extreme compared to mediocrity. Success always looks unreasonable to those who are unwilling to pay the price. You have to decide that your best today will be your baseline tomorrow, that every level you reach is not a finish line but a starting point. You don't just want to do better than others, you want to do better than you did yesterday. That's the mindset of someone who becomes unstoppable. They don't compete with the crowd, they compete with their own potential. Understand this. People will question your pace. They'll wonder why you train harder, wake up earlier, stay later, or push further. That's fine. Let them question. Because the moment you start living to please the crowd, you stop growing. You stop leading. You stop becoming the person you were born to be. You weren't created to blend in. You were created to set the bar. And to do that, your standards must rise so high that mediocrity feels uncomfortable in your presence. Every time you lower your standards to fit in, you shrink your future. But every time you raise them, you step closer to the life you know you were meant to live. It's not about being perfect. It's about refusing to coast, refusing to waste your potential, refusing to allow excuses to take the driver's seat. So ask yourself, what is the minimum you're currently accepting in areas where you should be demanding more? Your health, your time, your relationships, your focus, your vision? If you want to create extraordinary results, you need extraordinary standards. Standards that challenge you, that demand your full presence, that stretch you until your old limitations no longer exist. Unstoppable individuals don't wait for permission to be great. They don't lower their expectations to match their environment. They elevate their environment by raising their personal standard and then living by it daily. That's what it means to be unreasonable. And that's what it takes to outperform everyone else, not just once, but for life. Everything extraordinary begins in the mind. To become truly unstoppable and outperform everyone else, you must first take full control of the inner world that shapes your outer results. You must master the art of autosuggestion, programming your thoughts to reflect power, belief, and unshakable purpose. Then you must move with relentless clarity, knowing exactly who you are, where you're going, and why it matters. That clarity becomes the compass that guides your energy, focus, and choices. But belief alone is not enough. Faith must be backed by consistent, deliberate action. You must show up and do the work when it's hard, when it's silent, when it's unseen. You must condition yourself to embrace discomfort, to lean into resistance, to make discipline your companion. You must welcome the grind, knowing that mastery is found not in the easy moments, but in the moments you push through when you'd rather quit. And when adversity strikes, as it always will, you don't shrink, you rise. You shift your perspective and use the pain as fuel. You transform every setback into a setup, every loss into a lesson, every delay into deeper preparation. Because adversity does not destroy the unstoppable, it defines them. Finally, you must raise your standards so high that anything less than excellence becomes unacceptable. You stop living by the limits of others and begin shaping your life around the limitless potential within you. You demand more of yourself, not for applause, but because you've seen what's possible and refuse to live beneath it. This is not a path for the faint of heart, but it is the path of greatness. It is the path for those who no longer wish to compete, but to dominate. For those who are done being average. For those who are ready to decide once and for all that they will no longer settle, shrink, or wait. Because the world doesn't move for the hesitant. It moves for the bold, for the focused, for the relentless, for the unstoppable.